Hey, my name is Erin, and I'm so excited to share today how the Lord has been working in my life the last couple of months. I was raised in a Catholic church, but I really think kind of throughout that time, I always was just in church every Sunday because I had to be, was just kind of going through the motions and performing like these symbols, but definitely didn't really understand what it meant to walk with the Lord, and definitely didn't have a heart that was surrendered to Him. And kind of, I feel like around the age where I was really old enough to fully grasp that and understand the Lord's love for us, I was bullied and picked on a lot in school, and it really just made me harden my heart and really just hide who I was. And so I think I just felt really unworthy. I felt really unlovable. And so really, honestly, it was easier just to walk away from being vulnerable with the Lord. And I just didn't understand that I needed to give my heart over to Him. So I started hiding behind everything that I could, just trying to excel in school and perform well there. And I also started to hide behind over-exercising and developed some disordered eating habits, and really was just harming my body. But kind of the one thing I feel like that always tugged at my heart was my passion for science and wanting to be an oncology nurse. I had lost my best friend in childhood and my grandfather to cancer, and that was kind of something I feel like that always kind of kept me going and was really where my heart was. So I definitely think now, looking back, that that was something the Lord kept in my life because He knew that was kind of the path I was going to follow back to Him. And I think really when I started working at St. Jude was kind of when I knew I couldn't hide my heart anymore. I lost several patients that I had been very close with the first couple of years that I worked at St. Jude. And I really just started to fall into a really dark place and feeling like I was really terrible at my job, that I was failing. And I also struggled a lot with guilt because my sister and I were in a rollover car accident when I was in college. And definitely was a miracle that we survived that. And so I didn't feel like I deserved to live. And just seeing these kids and what they had to go through, and I just felt horrible, and I just wanted to take their place. And so I was just really, really struggling to find meaning behind all of it. And so luckily, one of my friends, Amanda, had asked me to come to ICC with her. The first time I came here, it was similar to how I felt at St. Jude and how I felt when I moved to Memphis. It felt like home. And I felt like it was a place that I could open myself up. And I think kind of as I started to listen, and I really started coming more regularly during the Desperate Dependence series, and it really just allowed me to hear how people talked about Jesus. I really realized I never really had understood who He was and what He had done for me, and that I couldn't do anything or change anything to get Him to love me more. When I had met with Barrett, one of the areas I was really still struggling was letting go of my patients. So after I had left the meeting with Barrett, I felt called to go into work to see a patient. I had taken the day off, but I was like, no, you have to go back. And so I walked into her room, actually with the person who brought me to ICC, who also worked at St. Jude. And I knew almost immediately that it was going to be the last couple hours of her life that I would be spending with her and her family. And they were believers. They had taught me so much about the Lord in the time that I had spent with them the last couple of months. And really in a time when, I knew the science behind what was happening, and that her body was shutting down, and nothing she said was going to make sense. But it ended up being the last words that she ever spoke were, "It is finished." And I knew in that moment that the Lord was there with us, and that he was who He said He was. And I knew that this promise that He has for us, that has nothing to do with who we are, but who He is real. And He definitely, despite everything I'd done and all the times that I walked away from Him, that He still chose to reveal Himself to me in this moment, just totally changed my life. And I knew after that day that I was never going to be the same. And I think I realized that I had been really in this internal struggle for my heart. And I never really realized it was between me and God. And I really think in that moment that I knew that I think I was trying to heal myself and present this perfect person to God so that He would love me. But what I really realized in that moment was that I didn't have to do anything, that He would fill my heart and then walk through that healing process with me. And I really think I was being very selfish before. I talked to Barrett a lot about this when I was reading Galatians in a moment when I was struggling and I had gone to God, and He kind of led me to this passage that like my lack of self-confidence and the self-pity that I had been living in for like a really long time was just so sinful, because I was just sitting at home like, why am I not good enough? Me. And I was only like living for me. And I kind of realized that He was who I was living for, and kind of through the ups and downs of this world, that was like my rock. And I became just filled with that love and less swayed by what other people thought of me. And I just wanted other people to understand this love that I felt, and that, you know, Jesus conquered death, so we don't have to fear it. And what I can do is just love on these kids and be there with them. And just, I don't want to just limit that to St. Jude. I want everybody to understand that. And like, as I pursue a relationship with Him, I feel like I more now know who I am. So I think over the last couple of months, I feel like a totally different person than I was before, and I think that's because Jesus has changed my heart. So I'm really just excited to stand up today and share how Jesus has done that and be baptized.